Welcome back, everyone, to another Company Affairs 2 replay cast. And this time, we're going to have a 2v2 sent by Umbakant this time, not Galleon Squad. And it's going to be a 2v2 on Alliance of Defiance. And yeah, they're both, of course, the Americans, as you can see. And their opponents are going to be Basic Nova and Cactus 14 as both German factions. Damn. Alright. Alliance of Defiance, of course. Very, very annoying map sometimes. It's kind of narrow. Lots of slugfest happening over here. Fuel points with a few buildings that are very, very bad around there, thankfully. And a little bit of heavy cover, but mostly out in the open. Relatively easy to contest. And, of course, these annoying cutoffs that both sides can use. Both this one and the specular one on this side. Very, very symmetric. Very, very neat. All right. So let's get this going. Well, we have, of course, the first engagement coming in. Some Sturm Pioneers and some Riflemen fighting it out at long range, so nothing really too major. Right now, yeah, that's going to be just the normal thing. Actually, Galleon Squad already going for a mortar, so he's expecting to fight people in buildings, and that's, yeah, he was right. There's a machine gun over here already in the house, so that's probably not the worst idea. And he's using his riflemen just to kind of screen away for the mortar. Still, that's going to give up the terrain to the Germans. Umbakant instead going for 3 rifleman squads, and he's kind of facing himself a weird situation with this, you know, this building play. We have, of course, got just a bunch of Volksgrenadiers hiding out in these houses, or, well, they're not really houses, but yeah, hiding out in these structures. And Umbakant can't really break through here. I mean, he's gonna try to get himself in these bricks, and that's a very, very good idea, actually. Fighting position going up over here. It's gonna allow the rear echelon troops standing in here to lob rifle grenades over the wall over here and into this kind of grain elevator type of building. So that's actually a very, very good idea. So I really like that play from Umbakant. He's gonna you know, go back with these rifleman squads. Right now, it seems like some not Sturm Pioneers, some normal Pioneers are flanking around everything the Galleon Squad has, and he's gonna have to escape as quickly as possible before his mortar is destroyed. Right now, as you can see, the fighting position is occupied, and the rifle grenades are going to start to come in. And as you can see, that's going to do a relatively good amount of damage, and that's going to force away these Volksgrenadiers from that building, thus giving a lot more freedom of action for Umbakant. And actually, he can upgrade the fighting position with a machine gun and help deal with these Sturm Pioneers as well. Now the Riflemen can 3v1 this Volksgrenadier squad over here and do some damage. However, of course, these Riflemen break off to deal with the Sturm Piles. So right now, overall, Galleon Squad and Umbakant are not having the best of starts. They're getting kind of crushed all over, except the extreme right, where now we finally have the mortar from Umbakant, and that's plus the fighting position is gonna give him the indirect fire advantage that he needs to capture this right side fuel point. So still, not looking the best for the Allies, and right now that's gonna show, especially because if the Germans can get that advantage, they're gonna get some pretty nasty units right out on the field. I'm expecting flame half-tracks, I'm expecting flak half-tracks, and as you can see, Cactus is going for a support gun already, so that's going to provide him with a lot of utility to deal with not only the fighting position and the mortar, but also the riflemen in the buildings and all of that. So in kind of an atrocious stalemate, on the right side, the support guns are going to be very, very useful, and after he gets enough fuel, he can, of course, go for the flak half-track as well, and that could be very, very bad. Looks like a Rifleman squad will be wiped out for Galleon Squad. Come on, Grenadiers. Aim, yep, aim, fire, destroyed. So the Lieutenant on the field is going to be pretty much forced for Galleon Squad, because at this point he needs the extra anti-infantry. And he's probably going to need a machine gun as well. Overall, it's just not looking that good for him because, of course, the Lieutenant is going to mean that he's much more vulnerable to something like a flame half-track. Although Basic Nova, oh nice, wiping out a Grenadier squad as well. So 1 for 1. Although Basic Nova hasn't gone for Battle Phase 1, so that's a big mistake in my opinion, because the Flame Half-Track would have just crushed what remains of Galleon Squad's forces. Now he can go for his own flak, hit the M15, and that should be enough to deal with any derp kind of half tracks coming in for the Germans. Of course, support gun shooting at the fighting position. In the meantime, also the ambulances there providing some healing to the riflemen. Both American players going for ambulances rather early on. They want that extra sort of map control that the ambulance can help you establish, that more big map pressure, and that, of course, is not that bad of an idea. Also, what the Americans are doing notice is that they're kind of sticking together at this point on the center and left. Despite the fact that earlier on Umbukant was having some good success on the extreme right, he has decided that it would be better to come in and support his ally up against Basic Nova's forces, because of course he's the Wehrmacht guy, so he's the one that's more vulnerable to flanking with the least versatile forces right off the bat. And as you can see, this is gonna probably work because all these riflemen are getting into the behind of the Germans, and as you can see, riflemen gonna easily just crush these grenadiers at medium to close range, and now the riflemen can come in and flank around the other machine gun as well. More damage coming in, killing that grenadier squad, and now, yep, the rifleman can come in and deal with the MG42 heavy machine gun team, and this should be a machine gun that they managed to steal. Yet another Pioneer squad almost about to be wiped. Especially though, yeah, again, this machine gun can get stolen now by these rear echelon troops. So this is very, very good, because this is not only going to, of course, kill what was left of Basic Nova's forces, it's going to also allow the Allies to set up a defensive position with the MG42 on the left side and hold that side against any further German aggression. Now they can focus their attention back into the center and come back with all their units. They're going to fight at medium to long range in a sort of covered disadvantageous position. As you can see, heavy cover for the Germans, light cover for the Americans, so that's not very good. However, if they can get some good grenades in and some good flanking, oh my god, that was a lot of damage. Now they can wipe out 2 squads, I think. At least 1 squad. Oh, that's so sad. He didn't manage to get the wipe. Oh no, he did. Okay, good. So at least 1 squad wiped out. So the Allies turning this around with some great infantry play. Especially amazing was that flank from Umbukant. He had the correct strategic call over there by, instead of just headbutting into the right side over and over, trying to capture the right side and sort of fight the OKW player Cactus for that, he had the right call to come into the left side and do that. However, I'm not sure about this 50 cal. Not sure about this 50 cal's placement, and actually, yeah, that grenade is gonna miss because, yeah, Gallon Squad was also not very sure about the 50 cal's placement, so he decides to bug out. And as you can see, the right side is still under German control, which is starting to be annoying for the Allies, but nothing really more. I mean, now that they have control over the left-hand side and they can defend this with that fighting position, they're not really going to need anything else because they have their fuel point, and now they can really swarm into the center and start to go for this cutoff point. I myself, if I were the American players, would not go for the fuel point itself, because that's where there's a lot of buildings. That's where the MG42s are really going to shine. Whereas over here in this sort of central area, there's a lot of open ground where I can flank with my riflemen. So of course, I would go for the cutoff point. Might as well just do that and prevent them from getting any resources from the point at all. So I feel like that would be a pretty good decision for the Americans. Let's see what they do. And also that has the added benefit of kind of putting extra pressure on the static emplacements and defensive weapons that the Axis have built up on the right side. Of course, with machine guns and support guns, if you can come in and flank around on the strategic point and put some pressure in the rear of the Germans are going to have to kind of reposition all their defenses already, and so that's not going to be all that good. So as you can see, the flank coming in from Umbukant's riflemen doing some good damage. However, I'm not sure as to the direction that he's taking. Of course, he's using the captain to come in. The captain can use the smoke, though. Oh, smoke, come on. He's going to get into the heavy cover. He can use smoke. Come on. I think what he wants to do is he wants to get some smoke up and flank with the riflemen. However, he's taking a lot of damage on his rifleman squads thanks to the supportive fire of not only the support guns but also the Volksgrenadiers over here. So I don't think that this MG is going to die anytime soon. Yeah, here comes the retreat from the American infantry. I think that was a mistake to not go for the cutoff point. In the meantime, on the left side, we have the almost complete control of Galleon Squad over this area of the map. getting some good good blocking tools, actually. This could be used as a flank against the fighting position, so I like to see that. I like to see that blockade, that barricade being erected. Yeah, the big problem for him seems to be this this mortar. This mortar is kind of derping at his fighting position. And Umbakant actually picking mechanized doctrine and getting out a military truck. Really now? Also, where does that... Oh, it's a veteran rifleman. It's a veteran rifleman. And hold on. Fucking A. I just can't fucking catch a break today. Anyway, getting back into this. What's happening right? So there's a military truck, and I'm not quite sure why, but I just find it hilarious that there's this thing at 11 minutes and 51 seconds. Anyway, big German push on the Allied base area, but they're getting repelled by American forces really easily, actually. Thanks to the support of that MG42 that was stolen. Nice grenades. Actually, oh, that's why he did that. Okay, so getting out of the military truck so that he's able to get in close without getting suppressed and destroying that machine gun with grenades. That was well done by Umbakant. Now he can get back into the military truck, magically tear off the canvas canopy over here, and wait, no, he's not doing that. So he's got this fetch-free military truck that's just running around as just a champ. I mean, if I were him, I would use this rear echelon troop. So yeah, he took the vehicle crew out. Not really quite sure why, but yeah, he's just a genius. Anyway, oh right, wait, can you even go with the Thompsons anymore? I don't think you can. That's sad. Wait, no, Thompsons are for armor company. Right, I'm an idiot. They were just for armor company. They never were for mechanized. Anyway, we have a P4 on the field for basic Nova. Now he can try to do something about all this infantry up here, and there's no AT. Again, that's the weakness of the lieutenant here. Not really getting out any AT right now, and he does not have airborne or recon support. So Gallon Squad right now is basically without defense against this P4. If the P4 were used a lot more aggressively, I mean, it could just chase down the American infantry all the way to the ambulance, all the way to the base, and there would be nothing that the Americans could do about it. We're gonna see if they can emergency out some... Wait, a second military truck? What is happening? We'll see if they can marshal some AT in the form of rear echelon troops with bazookas. So that's a pretty okay choice. However, as you can see, the P4 is already getting to work, doing a lot of damage. And now we have the bazookas coming in. Military truck tries to come and get down. There's the bazooka captain from the military truck. However, as you can see, there's just too much fire. The guys have to get out. And the Americans are now in the midst of a massive, massive shitstorm of doom. The Panzer IV is taking a lot of damage. It's just so close to another salvo, and it's gonna die. Main gun destroyed, so now the Americans can move up without any fears, and they destroy the P4. Well done, just as the smoke was popped. Wait, what? What smoke was that? Panzer Tactician? Or... yeah, it was Panzer Tactician. Just as the Panzer Tactician gets popped, he survives, and the military trucks are still alive as well. So, yeah, the extra mobility added by the military trucks, allowing the captain to get in there. Wow, this is some pretty damn awesome play with the military trucks, to be completely honest. Yeah, right now, the Americans, with that Panzer IV being dead, have a relatively good position. I mean... that was really the big problem that they had, but now that that's gone, they can get their own armor out in the field and play against the Germans at an even sort of level. Have an even playing field. Of course, these two support guns are being very annoying for the Allies to deal with, and they're going to try to find some way to do that, I think, very soon. Now we are seeing a Sherman coming through from Umbakant. Umbakant, who has got the mechanized company, and yet he's going for the normal Sherman rather than the 76er. That's an interesting choice. I guess he fears the infantry more than the armor. Not really quite sure that that's a correct decision, because he really should fear the armor as well. We have another P4 coming down for Cactus, and now the Americans are finally getting some good results down in the south. They're going to capture the fuel point, and now they're moving in, capturing the little building over here. Of course, some squads seems like they're being specialized at anti-infantry with the BRs, and some other ones are being specialized as AT with bazookas. So that's Umbekant just kind of trying to get some versatility into his forces. Right now, he's of course having some problems because of 1, the Schwer Panzer headquarters, and 2, the support guns. But in a bit, I think that the Panzer IV Aufs J is going to become a much bigger worry for him. And as you can see, the Sherman moving up isn't really going to have the best of success, I think, against the P4. That's depending on the support that gets given by either side to their tank. Where's that Raketenwerfer from Cactus? It's moving up. So finally, the Germans are going to have some AT to speak of. Oh yeah, Sherman doing what it does best. Shoots at infantry. Oh boy. Yeah. Evil. The Alien squad is still kind of thinking about his options. He does have the Major, but he hasn't gotten any armor out. And I think that he might go for a Jackson. Just because Umbekant is focusing more on the anti-infantry side of things with the Sherman, I think that he's going to require a Jackson. So yeah, the Germans are going for P4 spam, which might not be the best of ideas, because Jacksons are going to counter that pretty easily, and even the bazookas from the American infantry can do some pretty good number on the P4s, especially the non-OKW version with less armor. However, we're gonna see about this. I mean, the P4s can work. They're versatile, they're strong, and they've got good damage against infantry and vehicles, and they're not that squishy either. I mean, you can use them pretty well. And there goes the machine gun, and here comes the military truck, actually just turboing in there, and the infantry is gonna get out and use the rifle grenades, but the Panzer IV manages to get the smoke out. The other military truck gets behind all the machine guns and the mortars, drops off some bazooka-equipped infantry, and tries to start pounding on that P4. P4, which is now trying to go for after the Panzer, not the Panzer IV, the Sherman. Sherman, which is actually abandoned. That's very, very lucky, as the P4 is forced away by the bazookas. So once again, the mobile assault force with the military trucks proving its worth. And actually, the P4 eats a rifle grenade. So at this point, there's a good opportunity for the Americans to just charge in and hopefully get some good damage off on the P4, or maybe even kill it. However, the P4 is escaping with all of its might, and yeah, the military trucks will be retrieved and will go away. Of course, the Americans also retrieving a mortar for themselves. There's also a MG42 heavy machine gun, which I would have popped out one of these vehicle crews out of the military trucks to get the MG42, because it's going to be very, very strong and very, very useful. The re-echelon troops mercilessly charging in after the Panzer IV and then getting the kill. They're taking a lot of damage, of course, from that Schwer Panzer and all the supporting infantry squads, but they're going to survive. MG also eating up some grenades and probably dying. However, in this position, it's going to be relatively easy for the Axis to recapture it for themselves. Some kind of artillery is falling down. Is that the Major? Yeah, that is the Major already. Not really going to be that useful. Yeah, look, it landed right in the middle of these support guns and did nothing. So that's kind of unfortunate. The Alien squad still hasn't picked a doctrine. He has gone for the Jackson, though, so one prediction has been fulfilled. The problem is the Jackson is unemployed right now. He doesn't really have much to shoot at. I mean, of course, there's an Ostwind and a P4. An Ostwind? What the fuck? He's very scared of those bazookas. I don't know, man. They really need to get in and capture this Sherman again. They don't want this thing to be on the front lines. Really don't want this thing to be on the front lines. However, yeah, they're gonna need to secure this whole area before they can do that. And the P4 is gonna notice what's happening and probably put an end to this M4's misery. Wait, what? Come on. You can do it. You missed! P4 misses. Yeah, it's using attack round here. It's kind of slightly missing because of that. And now here comes the Jackson and the bazookas just a tad bit too late. Had they come just a few seconds earlier, they might have been able to save the M4 Sherman. That's very sad. All right, Umbekant is moving in. He's got a half-track, mortar half-track, That's an interesting decision, because it's going to give him the white phosphorus barrage, which is very, very evil against support weapons. So even this late into the game, that is kind of a viable choice if you can use that for, you know, the white phosphorus. If you cannot use it for the white phosphorus, it's not really all that great. You could just get a normal mortar, and it's going to do the better job. It's going to be harder to take down. Yeah, the normal mortar is harder to take down, and all of that. As you can see, nice usage of machine guns is allowing the Allies, well, a lot more sort of free movement here in the center, because the Axis really have some problems at suppressing the Allied infantry blobs, which can come in and use their veterancy and their weapons to just massacre the German infantry, who are suppressed. Of course, what's great about all of this is that, like, this is allowing these Jacksons pretty free ways to just take pot shots on the Panzer IVs. So it's all working pretty well together for the Allies. Although, there's still this problem of this sort of central meat grinder area, where the Germans are probably going to inflict major casualties on the Allies. Right now, this Panther is kind of in a bad way. It's within the fire range of all bazookas. Also eats a nice rifle grenade. Here comes the bazookas trying to destroy the bunker, and they will be able to. Well, that's good, because that bunker was very annoying for our good American players. And the Germans once again recapturing the center in this back and forth, and actually capturing a machine gun, it seems like. I think it was this crew? Yeah, it might have been a crew over there. So recapturing that machine gun, very good for him. Of course, he's going to get it into a building and use it to protect his own territory. So what are the Americans going to go for next? Umbekant is getting 2 support guns, 2 pack howitzers, and a Jackson. To be honest, I agree, because the pack howitzers are going to be just so useful in this kind of attrition-based gameplay. Very back and forth, very head-to-head, and the pack howitzers in the long term are going to pay for themselves quite well in this kind of environment. Of course, he's also going to get a Jackson to try to counter any German armor, especially that Panther. And I feel like extra Jacksons are never that bad of an idea, especially if the Germans might go for something heavier later. Of course, Cactus is has picked the breakthrough doctrine, although the Allies don't really know that now, do they? So he's kind of hiding it in case he wants the Jagdtiger to be a surprise, I think. So having the Jagdtiger around for later is going to be great. And as you can see, that White Frost is very useful, forcing back the Axis Grenadiers. In terms of infantry, the Allies are still kind of ahead, but everyone's got some pretty massive forces to work with at this moment. And they're all kind of headbutting against each other, so we can expect some pretty heavy casualty engagements soon enough. And we're going to see if anyone can really out-wipe the opponent, or if it's going to be just a slugfest over VPs. And right now, Priest is on the field for Galleon Squad, so he has picked infantry company. And that's also kind of fitting into that whole theme of, well, if it's going to go into a long, atrocious slugfest, might as well get some artillery. And the Priest is going to be very useful at that, especially because of its ability to shoot at trucks. Sure, Panzer Headquarters not going to be happy to see the Priest on the field. Definitely. Good hit. Looks like the Priest already getting a wipe on something. It's wiping out some support guns. Okay. Oh, this could be dangerous. Oh, damn. That was so close. That could have wiped out a lot of Volksgrenadier. But, nope. Yes, much back and forth is going on. We're going to see if anyone can get a decisive edge on the other players. Of course, these kind of harassment infantry attacks are costing everyone a lot of manpower, but they're trying to get wipes, and right now it's not happening. So Jackson right now is actually in big trouble. The Grenadiers are coming in with Panzerfausts, and the P4 comes in. Well done with that push. I think he's going to be able to destroy the Jackson. Yep, second Jackson tries to put some support fire down, but it's not really enough. The first Jackson is actually surviving a long time and gets 2 shots off while out of control. So that's pretty good for the Allies. More damage coming in from the Jackson. However, it isn't enough to just defeat the Panzer IV outright. The lieutenant is providing some line of sight. Here comes the American rifleman trying to get an anti-tank grenade and some spotting action going on. Well done. Destroys one of the P4s. That's still a pretty good trade for the Axis, but they've lost the Ostwind up here, so actually the trade is in the favor of the Allies. However, it is a narrow thing at that, so no one really getting a decisive edge over the opponent. The Ostwind might be stolen, in fact, by one of the two sides. Now, here comes the Panzerfaust from Basic Nova to finish it off. And now Basic Nova can go for the Tiger Ace. Does he want to do that, or does he want to pause and wait for another P4? I would say that he should wait to get a second P4. And after that is in production or on the field, he can get the Tiger Ace with all due tranquility. So Galleon Squad is now going to have to replace his Jackson, but he's got his Priest, and the Priest is still going to provide some good fire support. The two pack howitzers so far haven't been doing all that much, but they're trained on the support weapons in the center. That's where they're needed the most, because the allies on the left side are doing quite well. So it's not like you're going to need the pack howitzers to push into that area. You're going to want the pack howitzers to soften up the enemy around the center. So that's a pretty good choice, in my opinion, for Umbukant. It's going to provide him with some extra tools at his disposal. Here comes a little thing, time on target artillery barrage on a house, which well, wasn't the best time on target artillery barrage I've ever seen. Yeah, look at that. Those pack howitzers really pulling in their weight and doing a lot of damage. You have more capture attempts by the Germans up here. Grenade on the MG. So good smoke usage from Basic Nova. Was that from the mortar? I think that was from the mortar. Still, there's a lot of support weapons that are basically just littering about on the field that no one can recruit because of partially manpower shortages, partially pop cap shortages. And here comes some nasty artillery strikes from the Priest, plus the Jackson's fire on the Panther, forcing away the Germans and allowing the Allies to capture the center area. Looks like some units are being wiped out for Umbukant as he's having to replace some of his rifleman squads. And he's going for a Scot as well, which I'm not sure about the Scot. I mean, he already got a couple of pack howitzers. You might as well either go for a third pack howitzer or get some more Jackson action going on. Because honestly, the Scot isn't really going to do anything that's different from the pack howitzers, except it's going to be a little bit more mobile, I guess. So if you want a little bit of extra support for the left side, I guess the Scot is good. I'm just going on 2x speed because it's just a back and forth of doom, and it's the same things happening kind of over and over again. Each of the two sides are kind of feeling each other out, trying to see what's working and what's not. They're trying to use their artillery to the best of their advantages while they push up with their infantry and their vehicles to gain an edge over the opponents. Looks like Galleon Squad is having some trouble over here keeping his support weapons manned, but other than that, no one's really deviating from the script at all. So I'm just kind of waiting for someone to do something different. Like, for example, I think that Umbukant might try to do something with this extreme right side, might try to make a push over there instead of the sort of central area. Whereas Galleon Squad, I'm not sure. I think he's the more defensive, you know, his posture is the more defensive of the two allied players right now. He's the one that has a VP to defend, and he's the one that has the more defensive forces with the artillery and the bazookas and all of that. Whereas Umbukant, of course, might have some more aggressive options on the right side. So it's going to be up to the Germans to take the initiative on the left and the Allies on the right. We're going to see if they can do that, because otherwise this is just going to go on forever. As you can see, 284. Nice grenade. 284 VPs for the Allies, and here we are. We have a push, but it's actually going to result in basically next to nothing. What's going on with the Tiger Ace? Tiger Ace is being used as a trump card, I guess, as a big reserve, because it's not being called in, but Basic Nova is keeping enough resources to get... okay, so he's going for a Panther, and then after that, he's going to go for the Tiger Ace. So he's going to have a nasty, nasty armored force. What he needs, though, is more, or rather, are more Pioneers, because he's really low on those Pioneers. So as you can see, 284 VPs for the Allies, 351 for the Axis. It's just a nasty, nasty back and forth. Nice usage of that white phosphorus, exactly what you like. Panther tries to come in and break the stalemate, but hits the Panther and eats a rifle grenade. Actually, the Mechanised is going to push up a little bit too far and get wiped. I would just bazooka it to death, to be honest. Yep, that's what he will do. That's the end of that Mechanised. He does not need an extra... Or actually, I mean, Mubicon, he needs a Mechanised, but he doesn't have the pop cap for a Mechanised, because he went for a second Scott. Wow. That is a lot of indirect fire with 2 pack howitzers, 2 Scots, and a mortar half-track. That must be most of his pop cap just tied down in that. Let's just check it out. 9 pop caps, so 18 plus, that's how much? 20, so that's 38 plus, it's going to be like, what, 6? 44 pop cap tied down in indirect fire. That is nasty. That is nasty. So what that means is that if the Germans can get in among this artillery with a big aggressive push, the Allies are going to be in trouble, because that's going to be almost half of the pop cap that they have. Of course, the problem is that Cactus has mostly infantry, so he's going to be very vulnerable to all of this. And you can see the effect of all this indirect fire. Look at Cactus's manpower, 222. Whereas he's got 420 fuel. Look at all the others. They have more manpower than they do fuel. So that means that all the other players have been able to spend their fuel on things as a whole. Whereas Cactus is taking so much manpower damage that he cannot spend his fuel physically, because, of course, all the fuel requiring units also require manpower. So right now, he's in a bit of a bad shape. And right now, the amount of Jacksons that are on the field are able to kind of hold back, and actually, Basic Nova went for a Broom Bear instead of a Panther. I think that's a bad decision. So they're able to hold back the German armor. Here comes a assault artillery, not really doing the most damage. Once again, a little bit of a feeler attack coming in from Mubicon, just trying to see where the Germans are and provide some coordinates for his artillery to do damage. And as you can see, that is being very, very effective. White Phosphorus and the pack howitzers in combination wipe out one of those last remaining Volksgrenadier squads. And also the Priest is coming in, although it's missing. So unfortunately, the Priest, unfortunately for the Allies rather, the Priest is not doing all that much, only 14 kills. Compare that with the other American artillery pieces. We have 7 kills for these Scots, plus 1 kill, but a lot of damage for the mortar half-track. That's to White Phosphorus at play. Here comes a Stuka. Misses. So, of course, the Stukas are going to try to counter the American artillery, but the big hitters are these 22 kills pack howitzers. That's also, I think, what that Stuka is supposed to counter, these pack howitzers. Of course, the thing about pack howitzers is that they have 6-man crews. So they're actually pretty hard to deal with if you're going to be... Wait, what is that? That's the major recon. Okay. So they're actually going to be pretty hard to deal with if their crews are spread out like they are right now. Like, it's going to be pretty hard for Stuka rockets to hit all these guys. Ooh, big push coming in. Going to have some problems, though. Stormtroopers trying to capture the north, really kind of failing. Push in the south, gonna meet a Jackson. Actually, this is pretty bad for the Panther, I think, because the Panther is facing the Jackson one-on-one, but it's the Jackson is supported by the anti-tank grenades of the American riflemen, and as you can see, the Jackson's opponent takes an engine damage, and there it goes. So the Panther is dead, and now Cactus is without his medium tank. And right now, the Axis infantry is trying to push up, but it's getting absolutely obliterated by that artillery from the rear. So that, plus the fact that the Allies are slowly but surely gaining an upper hand on the left side, is, well, pretty ominous for the Germans. The Germans need to get some big heavy tanks on the field and deal with these Jacksons with their last remaining infantry units, I guess. That's the only thing that they can do. Because what they need to do is they need to get among that artillery. Because the Allies have the artillery superiority, the Germans need to take the advantage and the initiative. The Germans need to take the initiative because if they let the Allies just shell them to death, they're going to slowly but surely die. Oh, wow. Nice usage of the Major, by the way. Just a cap. That's a pretty good thing, because it also cuts off a point. So that's good. That's the cutoff. That's pretty good. Also, it provides spotting, which, well, is what you like. And that MG42, as you can see, dead. So now we are switching to M1919s for Galleon Squad. Here comes a Panzerwerfer barrage, wiping out one of the M1919 vet-free squads. So that was definitely a good choice to go for the Panzerwerfer. Of course, that locks him out of the Tiger Ace almost entirely. He doesn't have enough pop cap anymore. But the Tiger Ace is still kind of there as a reserve. Like, they have seen the Stormtroopers, but I'm not sure that the Allies quite realize that they're up against the elite troops, because, I mean, yeah, sure, the Panzer Tactician, but the Panzer Tactician, almost like most of the German doctrines that people use have the Panzer Tactician, because it's just such a useful ability. So it doesn't really give away too much, because there's just so many doctrines that use it. Nice American grenades. And actually, moving up with the Jacksons, doing some good work. And just barraging with those pack howitzers. As you can see, they're up to Vet 2, so they have the extra explosion effects. And right now, yeah, a German push attempt at a flank is going to end in pretty much disaster, as the Scots plus the White Phosphorus are just going to tear into those infantry units. One of the Sturm Pioneers getting wiped out. And we do have the KT on the field. So finally, Cactus is going to have his big heavy tank. However, in my opinion, for Cactus, it would have been better for him to go with the Jagdtiger. One, because the Jagdtiger would just be so strong against the Jacksons. And two, because it can one-shot the Scots. So it's always hilarious. And the reason I'm thinking of that is because his buddy over here, Basic Nova, is going to have heavy tanks, but he's not going to have heavy tank destroyers. So that burden would kind of have to fall on Cactus. And if he can get a Jagdtiger, he can cover his allies' vehicles as they move up from the Jacksons and force away those Jacksons, screen them away, because the Jacksons really can't stand in the line of sight of the Jagdtiger and hope to survive. They're very vulnerable to it. So that would kind of force the Americans into an aggressive posture. It would force them to try to take the initiative and deal with the Jagdtiger, which you have to do at kind of close to medium ranges, because at long range, the Jagdtiger is always going to win. So at that point, you're kind of putting the Allies between the frying pan and the fire. You know, you either stay back with your Jacksons and you die slowly to the Jagdtiger, or you move forward again with your Jacksons. So very squishy vehicles. You try the assault card, and maybe you just kill them outright. Instead, unfortunately, these two German players are not really supporting each other, and that leads to one of the Panzer IVs being crushed by the Jacksons relatively easily. And with the support of the American infantry, yeah, these German tanks down here on the extreme left, if they're not supported by the KT nor by a Jagdtiger, they're gonna just slowly but surely lose to the Jacksons, because that's what the Jacksons are great at. They're great at whittling down the enemy armor eventually. So I think that the German strategy is what's wrong right now. They could, you know, join up together. Their forces, nice Stuka barrage. They could join their forces up together and try to do something. This is good. This is good. Nice flank coming in from Cactus. Despite the fact that this is going to be relatively risky. Here comes the Panzerfaust on the ambulance. The ambulance is dead. Relatively risky because of all the artillery fire that can just kind of fall down on them. So one of the squads goes down, but that was actually the unvetted squad. So if nothing else gets wiped, I mean, it's a kill on the ambulance. It's better than nothing. What should have happened though? What I was really waiting for, to happen, is this KT. You cannot see this right now, but I'm like face swamming. Is this KT? Once everything was focused on the infantry over here, the KT could have moved up and crushed a few of these units into nothingness. Like the KT could have acted as the hammer of the hammer and anvil here. And unfortunately, this was a big wasted opportunity for Cactus, because now Cactus is going to be a little bit more wary of what's going on. There goes the mortar half-track, but, you know, it's not that important that the mortar half-track died. Because it was, to be honest, kind of like the weak link of that artillery defense. Oh, this is bad, though. The Jackson's going to die. And it was this time that the Germans were the ones cooperating, and the Allies were the ones who perhaps should have had some support, some mutual support. Actually, Scots are coming in for Galleon Squad as well, so very, very much liking these M8 Scots. And there's, like, these can be effective as we've seen, but there's kind of a downside to Scots because they can be very, 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 very squishy. So you need to be careful about the Scots. You need to micro them correctly. Otherwise, things are going to go wrong for you. Looks like the Mortar Half-Track has been repurchased, actually. So he's really, really, I guess, banging a lot on that white phosphorus. He needs it. And right now, as you can see, the Germans are moving in, and they're being very, very aggressive. They're starting to get some points. The Allies were earlier on really whittling down the German VP count. They're down to 134. But the Germans now are rising back up, and that was a good Stuka barrage. Lots of damage. So that Stuka is really pulling its weight at this point. Actually, that's 3 Stukas. Okay, that is a lot of Stukas. And that's, I think, a pretty good response for Cactus. Especially because he can barrage both American players. So he's really like, he's really playing the Americans' game better than the Americans right now. And that's good. That's good. That's going to put Umbikant and Galleon Squad off their game. And as you can see now, they really seem to be at a loss for responses to this. They can't really push ahead because they don't really have offensive geared troops or forces. As you can see with Jacksons and a lot of artillery, they really don't have that many ways to actually push in. And they can't sit back either because of the artillery. So that's the whole thing that was going on earlier with the enemy. Oh no, KT moves up. Come on, KT. You strong. Oh. Big Stuka barrage comes in. You. Oh. That's why you love the Scots. They can just get those random wipes. Anyway, it seems like the Germans have actually lost a few units in that last engagement, and that's very bad for them. However, we're going to see if those Stukas can turn it around. First barrage hits some riflemen. Yeah, the Americans really are having trouble getting all their units back up into shape because of the constant Stuka barraging. Wait, what? Why are there 2 ambulances from Umbikant? Did he steal Galleon Squad's as ambulance, or did he just... Oh no, I think he just accidentally purchased 2 ambulances instead of 1. So actually one thing that I've seen a player do once, but he was kind of a memer, is he got a lot of assault engineers, which of course he kind of cannot do. I mean, there is the M3 half-track assault groups. Arriba! Okay, hold on. Yet more interruptions. Anyway, let's get back into this. Yes, so there's this ambulance, and once there was like this great memer dude who just built 4 ambulances and got 4 assault engineer squads into them, and it was just the best thing I've ever seen because he drove them across of what is that map's name? It's oh well, now they need the extra ambulance because they now only got 2 left. What was that map's name? Samosky Winter, right? He drove them like across the ice and into the enemy base, and it was just the best thing I've ever seen. Anyway, back into this. I wish that you could transfer units, although with the Americans it's relatively easy. You just pop the crew out and then you give it to the other person. So really right now, Umbikant should just get the medics out of this ambulance and let like a, you know, rear echelon troop or something take it. Wait, can the ambulance use heal if there's no medics inside? If any one of you knows, well, yeah, tell me, because that's weird. Anyway, 3 support, lots of support weapons, 4 of them so far, and as you can see, no one can pick them up because whenever they try, they all die. So right now the pop cap, as you can see, is basically still even, just a slight lead for the Germans by virtue of the fact that they have 3 fucking Stukas. Here comes a bit of a push attempt by the Axis. They've actually got a Stuk 3G. That's not the best idea ever, considering how many Jacksons are around. Like the Stug, with the new Jackson being the way it is, with better reload and better HP, as opposed to so much alpha damage but very squishy. I mean, it's still squishy, but not as squishy as it used to be. That was a nasty Stuka barrage. With the way the wow, that's a lot of rockets. The way the Jackson is right now, like the Stug has no chance against it. So yeah. So the mechanized madness continues. Let's just speed it up. Yeah, it's still basically the same, but triple cap. Triple cap up for the Nazis, and that's very, very good, of course. Let's see if the Allies can get something against it. Of course, Riflemen with no more smoke, they can't simply just do this. However, yeah, with the support of these Scots and, you know, support guns, they can probably at least neutralize this. Okay, so that's a double cap right now. The Germans are down to 124, and the Allies to 165. So if this keeps up, it's gonna be 80 ticks before before the Allies lose. And 80 ticks is like what? Oh boy. So it's 1 tick every 3 seconds. So it would be 160, 240. 4 minutes before the Allies have to lose. However, yeah, as you can see, the Allies can recapture this northern VP, and they can put some troops in here. It's actually kind of interesting right now. The Allies are just so afraid of these Stukas that they've pulled almost all of their squishy flesh type of units, soft units, back to the base. Or to like here, where they're out of reach of the Stukas, because of course the Stukas are cactuses, and they're mostly standing right to the south end of the map. As you can see, lots of damage that they've been doing. That's 22, 32, 52, 55 kills on the part of those Stukas. So that's very, very strong, of course. Don't want to mess with those. However, they are sorting out like 1 or 2 infantry units at a time, because it's not like the Germans have that much infantry either, and whatever is there can be just defeated by all the Scots and all the support guns. So they're sorting out infantry units and getting VP captures. And then when that's done, they just pull back, and that was a good kill on the Panzer IV. Yeah, the big problem with Basic Nova so far has been that he has been very much keen to send one of his tanks alone and get it picked off by the enemy, despite the fact that he has been building a relatively strong tank force. So anyway, this strategy of the Allies of sending out 1 or 2 infantry units at a time has been kind of really kind of confused these Stukas. They are not able to get as many good barrages as before, although this one wasn't bad at all. And then now the Allies can capture and recapture these points. The Germans are ahead when it comes to points, but it's like the Germans don't really have that much infantry left. We've got 4 squads, of which 2 are pioneers for Basic Nova. And we have 3 squads, of which 1 is a Stern pioneer from Cactus. And the reason I'm separating them out is for pioneers because 1, they're weaker. 2, for the Stern pioneers, it's because they're going to be busy repairing half the time. The big thing that I've noticed is that Cactus hasn't been using this KT at all in conjunction with when Basic Nova attacks with his regular armored forces. Because, of course, alone the KT is rather weak to the Jacksons, and so that's why he's not moving up. That's why he's not moving up, because he's afraid of getting crushed by Jacksons. And that's a relatively good fear. However, you also need to remember that you need to push up and support your ally. Otherwise, well, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, just sit here with KT that you've spent so much, you know, time and effort and resources acquiring. You're just gonna have it sit there, basically by no area that's important at all, because it's not like you're defending the VP from anything. It's not like you're defending the cutoff from anything. You need to defend this VP from the American infantry. So really, the misuse of this KT is coming back to bite the Nazis quite hard. Here comes the Panzer barrage on those pack howitzers, but it completely misses. So right now, it's still those 2 Jacksons, because 1 of them died, against the world. And that's the strength of the Jacksons. You just come in, you derp into someone, and then you back off. Oh wow, another wipe from the artillery. Good effect, target down. Wonder what that was. It was the M8 Scott killing something. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. That was the priest. He has taken out 2 Stukas. Well, at least 1 Stuka. What happened to the other one? Okay, so there's 1 Stuka. It's actually the least veteran one. Then there's another Stuka over here. What happened to the 3rd Stuka? Oh, well, also, there's a Panzerwerfer dead over here, and another Panzerwerfer in trouble. So I think this was a counter battery from the pack howitzers that damaged that Panzerwerfer. But what happened to the other Stuka? It just vanished. When did it die? 3, 2, so... Oh, right, it doesn't tell you when units died. Ah, shit. Well, that's certainly quite interesting. Still, that was very, very good. So the priest showing its superiority once again and doing some counter battery. I'm at least thinking that that was the priest. It's got 6 vehicle kills, damn. And the KT moves up, and it moves up at the worst possible time when there's only 2 Stukas available to support, and 2 of them have been killed. And as you can see, that means that it dies, because there was nothing to repel the bazookas. And of course, there was also not enough infantry support there to force back these Jacksons. So the KT is dead, and that is actually big, 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 big news, because this frees up these 2 Jacksons to move up against Basic Nova. Although Cactus is going to get a 2nd KT relatively soon. He has just purchased another Panther as well, so he's going to do something maybe major. Ooh, damn. Squad eats the dust. Oh, here comes the Stukas. Does a bit of damage, but not really decisive. Not really decisive at all. And the Germans are down to 61. The Allies are at 103. So the Allies slowly but surely gaining the upper hand in this. And it's kind of great how... Oh, damn. It's kind of great how they're doing it. I like it. Here comes more Stuka, which has now moved almost permanently. The Stukas have now moved almost permanently to the left-hand side. Not sure that that's the best idea, because it's like, yeah, what are you gonna do up here? Like, you're never really gonna be able to cap anything here because it's just too much allies. That's the allied country. What you want to have is the Stukas in the center so that they can help you out in the center. Just like earlier on, the pack howitzers were there to help out the allies in the center. Then, of course, the Stukas happened, and the pack howitzers moved up north because they couldn't operate in the center anymore because it was just too dangerous for them. That's why they changed, not because the Allies have different priorities or anything. The priorities are still the same because they're still able to really easily keep this north area under their control. And by the way, right now, like, am I the only one that's thinking that if the Axis just pulled together these 3 Panthers and moved up on one side with the support of the Brumbear, with the support of everybody, they could just destroy these Jacksons and then destroy everything else? That's what I think, at least. Like, the only problem would be these bazooka teams, but hey, you can deal with those, right? You have 2 Stukas. One of them is up to Vet 4, so that means that it's got the incendiary rockets. And now KT plus 3 Panthers on the field for Germany. That should definitely be a force strong enough to push in. However, as I said earlier, there is a problem of not enough engineers. Not enough engineers, so there's not enough repair capacity, really, for these tanks to get repaired and back on the field, back in action. So that's actually really sad for the Allies. There goes the Panther yet again. And that was, yeah, that was Basic Nova's Panther. Also, this one is taking fire from the pack howitzers, which is hilarious. And the Americans slowly but surely establishing their perimeter, their front line, and not allowing the Germans in. Here comes more Stuka. Wait, what? Where did the Stukas fire into? I have no idea. Anyway, bazooka teams moving up, and the Germans are trying yet again, but yeah, sending infantry up here. You really think that's gonna work? I mean, there's just pack howitzers and M8 Scots everywhere. In the center, there's just a little bit of skirmishing going on between the German tanks and Allied infantry, with the Jacksons kind of standing by to help out. And that's, of course, going to mean the end of the second KT, most likely. Amazing DPS from the new Jackson, of course. And here we go. There it goes. Of the Panthers, there's still one alive, and the Broom Bear is helping out with keeping this point neutral. That's actually pretty good. The problem is there's nothing else that the Germans can do to stop American infantry from capturing the center. And the north, the only thing that's there is the Broom Bear, and the Broom Bear is vulnerable to the Jacksons. So the north is going to go to the Americans, and the center probably going to go to the Americans as well. After a little bit of fighting, but yeah, I don't see how the Germans are going to capture this. Stuka Barrage fires. Stuka Barrage is going to be avoided, most likely. Yep. And there we go. M1919 is capturing the VP with 11 points left. That's going to be the end of Germany. Oh, damn. Actually, no. Well done by something. Oh, he's killing the mechanized regiment headquarters. It's pretty funny. And yet more American infantry. Another attempt up north with the Tiger Ace. Finally on the field. I'd forgotten about the Tiger Ace. God damn, he actually never went for it. Look at this. He could have just taken the Tiger Ace and moved in. Right, I'm an idiot. Wow, mea culpa. My fault for not really thinking about that earlier. Yeah, look. He just literally bought the Tiger Ace and attacked move into the Jackson. And that worked. Like, right now, had there been, you know, the KT and the Panther to come in and help, and had there been like other stuff, you know, from Germany, I think this would be the end of Allied. It would just be the end of the Allies, because they would be able to come down here, destroy these two other Jacksons. Instead, because of this, these two tanks are gonna just go down to the Jacksons, and yeah, HVAP rounds into the face of the Tiger Ace. One of the Jacksons goes down, but the second one's still around. Massive Stuka Barrage, not gonna be enough. And of course, in the center, there's not enough forces available to attack into here. 3 VPs left. Actually, a damaged engine from the howitzer mortar carriages. Panther is dead, or it bounces the 75mm. It bounces a second 75mm into the rear. It bounces a third 75mm into the rear, but it's going to, it would have died anyway from the anti-tank grenades. And the match is over. Wow, that was a game and a half. Mechanized Madness. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this Company of Heroes 2 replay cast, and I will see you soon. Have a nice day.